Formative assessment 2.5. That is chapter 2, lesson number 5. Question number 1. How does a catalyst affect the activation energy of a chemical reaction? How does a catalyst affect the activation energy of a chemical reaction? So a catalyst lowers the activation energy. That is one. So a a catalyst lowers the catalyst lowers the activation energy a catalyst lowers the activation energy and increases the rate of chemical reaction. So when in a chemical reaction the activation energy is less, then this directly will increase the rate of reaction. This will increase the rate of reaction. Let's go to the next question. Describe how the interaction between an enzyme and its substrate changes a chemical reaction. Describe how the interaction between the enzyme and its substrates changes a chemical reaction. So how does this happen? It changes. So first, enzymes bring substrates together. So we expect an answer like first, enzymes bring substrate molecules together. They bring substrate molecules together. After bringing them together, second, enzyme decreases activation energy. So, second, enzyme decreases activation energy. It will decrease the activation energy. So when the substrates bind to the enzyme at the enzyme active site, when substrates bind, to the enzyme at the active site, the bonds inside these molecules become strained. The bonds inside these molecules become strained. So when the bonds become strained, it becomes easy to break them. If bonds are strained or stretched slightly out of their normal position, they become weaker. If bonds are strained, if bonds are strained or stretched slightly, out of their normal position, out of their normal position, they become weaker. They become weaker. They become weaker. So less activation energy is needed for these slightly weakened bonds to break. Less activation energy is needed to break these bonds. So less energy is needed, less activation energy is needed to break these bonds. The reason being that the bonds are weakened. So that is the first part of the question. Describe how interaction between enzymes and each substrate change a chemical reaction. So this was for this part. Now we are going to answer this one here. Describe how the interaction between enzyme and its substrate change as a chemical reaction. So how does it change? How does the interaction between enzyme and its substrate change a chemical reaction? The answer is basically very clear here. As you can see, first, the enzymes break the substrate molecule, bring them together. Second, decrease the activation energy. And when it is decreased, uh, it will break down the bond. It will break down the bond. And when the bond is, when the bond, when these which have been brought together make the bond is, so you can see that these two are closely related. But this is the answer for this question number 2.